Every year in the NFL, it's a new team. As far as goals go, we have one. Putting the ring on our finger.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is February 17th, 2021. We are, a week and a half away from Super Bowl victors.
Yep.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, it's really weird. Couple of things. One, after I finished watching this all 22, I was so excited to do the podcast. I mean, I was just like, I can't wait to do a podcast. I got so much to say. And that was what, a week ago?
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I don't know, I don't have that excitement. And I don't remember all the exciting stuff I was going to say. It's really disappointing to me. Also, as our fan base, it's almost like we have forgotten that we just won the Super Bowl. I mean, I still see people talking about it, of course, but we moved on. You know, it's like I saw a tweet the other day, a perfect example. It was a New Orleans Saints fan. He was like, you Buc fans, it's a week later and y'all are already talking about the draft. You know, in New Orleans, when we win the Super Bowl, it lasts for a month. You know,
yeah.
We're partying in the streets and everything. And I was like, yeah, you know, I remember that with the 2002 Super Bowl too. It just seemed like immediately we were back into the same grind of being pessimistic Buc fans.
Yeah.
You know, we're already talking about who we're going to leave off the team and, you know, we're going to draft and all that good stuff. It's like,
well, I will say they did party pretty hard right after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So maybe New Orleans, you know, they stretched it out a month, but I think in Tampa, they did a month's worth of partying in 12 hours. So
this is true. Yes. And we have the video evidence to back that up as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a little interruption there by the youngin'. We got a good podcast for you tonight. I was going to say it was great, but like I said, the enthusiasm level is quite diminished. We've got some Bucs news. We're going to cover the All-22 from the Super Bowl that we won.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to start it off with bad news. You know, it's something that's kind of had me depressed for the past couple of days. You know, Vincent Jackson was found dead, our wide receiver. Number 83, found dead in a hotel room. Completely shocking, and it was a real kick in the nuts. He was one of the greatest people that has ever played on the Buccaneers. He's somebody that me and Molly just really liked. Mm-hmm. When he was brought here and we got Mike Evans, I remember it was called the Twin Towers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they were both basically the same style, you know, the big, tall, physical guys. You just throw it up and they're going to catch it. And he was an outstanding guy off the field. You know, he did a lot with the military. His parents were military. He heavily entrenched in Tampa. I mean, when he moved there, he just became like the epitome of a Tampa football player. I mean, he just put roots in. He had many businesses. Cask Social, I remember, was one of them.
He's doing real estate.
Had real estate.
I followed him on Instagram. And he still kept up with all his military charity work, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was not fake. It wasn't for show. He was dead serious about all that good stuff. And he would just seem like we never met him, but he just seemed like an awesome, awesome human being. And it was completely shocking. And the circumstances behind it, we're going to get into a little bit of speculation here. Here's what has been relayed so far. He was found deceased in a hotel room near his home. Right, it was the same town, right?
Same area.
Same area. Mm-hmm. He'd been there since January 11th, and there was no signs of foul play or trauma, but he, was deceased. So
at 38 years old.
At 38 years old, is healthy. As far as we know, the guy was completely healthy. So it's very strange, very strange. Now, he did get a couple DUIs when he was at the Chargers, because we traded him, got him from the Chargers, and he had 2 DUIs there, but he never had any issues when he was with us. Now the reports are out that that they're saying he was an alcoholic, or that he had problems with alcohol. We never saw any instance of that when he was on the team. He did have a couple businesses that were alcohol related. Like I said, Cask Social is a bar in Tampa. My first thoughts when I saw that he was in a hotel in his hometown, or near his house since January 11th, was family issues.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and Molly said, when we were talking about it, she was like, they're going to bring up CTE somehow. Immediately, and they did.
Well, here's the thing: that sheriff came out and did that radio interview and said the family said he had issues with alcoholism and they suspect CTE. And now, since he's done that interview, the family has come out and said he's not a representative for us. He does not speak for us. And then the sheriff's office has kind of had to walk it back and said it's going to take months probably for an autopsy. But, a lie travels halfway around the world before the truth straps its shoes on. So that's what everyone's going to think. Yeah. And I think everyone was kind of going to jump to that conclusion anyway, especially when someone that young dies suddenly and tragically like that.
Yes. If you're not aware, we did a whole podcast on CTE. When did we do that?
It was last off season.
Last off season. Okay. Yes. There's a book out called Brainwashed by Meryl Hodge. There's just fantastic information about it. I don't want to say we're not big believers in CTE, but we feel the same way as the book, that it's quite a bit overblown. So take it with a grain of salt. I doubt very seriously if CTE was a contributing factor in his death. I had a family member die of alcoholism, and it was kind of the same way. But I mean, this guy he binge drank for 50 years. He would disappear for a month at a time, about every 6 months, and he could just drink and get silly drunk for a month straight. And we found him dead. Just walked in the house. We couldn't get in contact with him, walked in the house, and he was dead. So it does happen. It's a terrible thing. He didn't show any outward signs of having health issues. He was older, but he just died. It was, I forget what it was called, but it's basically his organs just gave up on him. So it does happen. If you were to stick a gun up to my head and make me say what I think it was family issues. There was probably, some marital problems, and that was probably a contributing factor. It wouldn't surprise me if, my first thought was suicide.
Me too.
I see it happen with guys so much, where when this happens, they get separated and they get basically kicked out of their house, and they just spiral into depression, and then make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But our best goes out to his family. I just really kind of had me down the past couple of days. I just hate to see it.
Yeah.
Just really do.
And you just never know what kind of demons people carry with them.
Exactly. We see a veneer of these people, and it's usually fake. It's something they put through PR and focus group or whatever. And so we never really know what these people are like. But he did seem to be just a genuinely good guy. And I hope it wasn't a family thing, because God, that would just be horrible for the family, to think that they had any any reason to be a contributing factor. But, he was there since the 11th. He's in a hotel in his hometown. And they called somebody because they couldn't get in touch with him. My first thought was, why wouldn't you go there? It just, I don't know, it just seems obvious to me that there was something going on, where there was tension. But hey, that's just speculation, completely speculation on my part. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it, but we do a podcast where we talk about stuff. So, Molly, anything?
I just want to say with alcoholics, so like it runs in my family too, and you never know what kind of demons people carry with them, and everyone copes in different ways, and so for some people, alcohol is that way.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend who's an alcoholic, strangest alcoholic I've ever met, and I've met quite a few. He's one of those guys that is more capable when he's drinking. Like when he's driving, he's an excellent driver when he's been drinking. But when he's not drinking, he's a horrible driver. And it applies to everything in his life. It's very strange. He's I wouldn't say a totally different person when he's not drinking, but he's definitely a more enjoyable person when he's drinking.
Remember in the days when, my family member, they're from a very, very small town, and
your family members?
Well, yeah. The one in particular I'm speaking about. They were in a very small town, and, he would be drinking and then driving home back when there wasn't so much stigma, 70s, 80s, 90s. And he'd get pulled over and they would just follow him home.
That's how it used to be.
Yeah. I think at one point he did lose his license, or maybe didn't have a car, and would drive to the bar on the lawnmower. So it was
the right lawnmower.
Yeah. Country people. But yeah, it's really sad. I remember when we signed VJax, it was like kind of a big free agent signing early on in my fandom.
And we said, and I said, he was the best free agent signing we had ever had up to that point. And he was just an outstanding football player for us.
Yeah. And he was a bright spot on a team that was just not very good.
Yeah. That was...
I think, didn't he come on with Shiano?
Yeah, I want to say
Shiano, Shiano got fired, and then I want to say he played a year with Levy, because that's when Mike was drafted. And then he became a free agent, and we never re-signed him, and he just retired.
Yes, and we talked about that quite a bit, how he just kind of disappeared, and Tampa didn't really make a big deal about it. It was like he just, one minute he was a big contributor to the team, next minute he's gone, and we had moved on that quick that nobody really talked about him. And I found that very strange, because he did contribute greatly. I think he greatly contributed to Mike Evans' ability, and kind of helping him come into the league. Because if you don't remember, Mike Evans was kind of rough when he came into the league. He had caught on video fighting at the bars over his girlfriends and stuff. He cost us a couple games because of his attitude. One time I remember once he acted like he was hurt, and it was in the fourth quarter. We had like 12 seconds left, and he fell down and acted like he was hurt. And of course, they had to blow the whistle, run 10 seconds off the clock, and we lost the game because, they called the game right there because he had fallen down like he was hurt. I think VJax, was a big part of why Mike Evans is the player he is and the man he is. I don't know that for sure, but it seems like it. VJax's attitude seemed to transfer to Mike Evans' attitude as Mike Evans has played in the league for a couple years. He definitely got more. Because Vincent Jackson was very stoic.
That's what I was just about to say.
Mike Evans has become very stoic.
I agree. Yeah, he just had a strong, very stoic presence about him, kind of the strong, silent type.
Yeah. Mike Evans used to, he used to get in trouble on the field all the time for getting all upset and fighting with guys. And, remember, every time he caught the ball or didn't catch the ball, he was getting up in the refs' faces and wanting flags. So, but then VJax left. we didn't re-sign him, and no big deal was made out of it. It always bothered me.
Yeah, I agree.
Ira Kaufman has called for, at least I think it was Ira Kaufman, has called for Tampa to put his number in the Ring of Honor. Don't know how that'll work, but it's a nice sentimental idea from Ira Kaufman.
Yeah, some kind of gesture.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've completely depressed all our
I'm
listeners,
like super depressed.
Yeah. I was in shock when I read it. At first, I had to look. I was like, this has got to be a joke. Somebody's pulling a prank here. But yeah, man, guys, the good guys like that, they say the good die young. Stuff like that happens to Vincent Jackson, and then you've got what was that tight end's name with the sex doll?
Oh, Kellen Winslow Jr.
Kellen Winslow Jr. They're still alive and running, causing trouble. Mm-hmm. He's in prison, right?
Should be.
Yeah, I think he's doing like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
So anyhow, let's move on to some more positive stuff.
Okay. Do you want to go through news first, or you want to do the review on the game film?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's do the game film.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. I went through the Super Bowl 55 game film, in case you didn't know. I got 4 videos out of it. The last 2 were a little short. I finished the thing. I had about 16 minutes left, or about 16 minutes worth of video, and I was like, God, I can put this out, but it's kind of long. So I'm just going to make it into 2 things. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but it is what it is. There was a lot going on in this game. Gosh, I wish I had the energy and the excitement that I did for the couple days after watching this.
Well, we're both kind of sluggish today, too.
Yeah, we've been napping all day.
Mm-hmm.
So, all kinds of storylines coming from this Super Bowl. Probably the biggest storyline is the defensive line just dominating their offensive line and harassing Patrick Mahomes the whole game. That's what I've heard about the most. Then there was the other storyline about penalties. You get that from the Kansas City Chiefs fans mainly.
That's what I would say too. Like if I lost like that, I'd be like, it was the refs.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't that we sucked.
Right. Right. And I want to bring that up. So you say it wasn't that we sucked. I'm watching this all 22. And like in the first quarter, probably about 3/4 of the way to the third quarter, I was like, man, these guys are not playing good. Kansas City looks like crap. I was like, they didn't bring their A game. They did not bring their A game. And I noticed it right off the bat at the opening kickoff. Our guys were jumping up and down and just highly energetic, and their guys weren't moving. They were just standing there. And I was like, wow. And it was like that all throughout the game. I mean, our guys had a crap ton more energy than their guys did. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and I'm like 3/4 of the way through the first quarter, and I'm like, this is another team that didn't bring their A game to play us. And then I went, wait a minute. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
The odds of that happening are almost nil.
I know. At a certain point, it's like, exactly. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's
not
us.
Them. It was us. It's us making these teams look bad. And gosh, I really wish I would have written all this stuff down and had it better prepared. But this all 22, I've watched all 22. I can honestly say that I've watched more game film on Buccaneers than probably anybody alive. There hasn't been a coach that's been tenured long as I've been a Buccaneers fan. And there hasn't been a player that's been tenured as long as I've been a Buccaneers fan and watching all 22. I started watching all 22 the day it was available to us plebes. And, I don't just pick out plays. I watch every player on every play, So I've watched more game film on the Buccaneers over the past decade I think it's been over a decade, than anybody on the planet. And I can honestly say this, and I'm going to jack it up twice here. I can honestly say this. That team I watched in the Super Bowl 55 is by far the best Buccaneers team I've ever seen. By far. I'm going to jack it up. Now, I don't watch a whole lot of other teams, and I haven't, but I do watch other teams. Before we play a game, I'll normally sit down and watch game film on our opponents. And then, like I said, when we were getting ready to play Kansas City for the Super Bowl, I watched every single all 22 game film on Patrick Mahomes that I could get. So I watched 3 years worth of games in all 22. So I knew a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs going into this. So my point being is I don't watch a whole lot of other games, not near as much as I do the Buccaneers. So I can definitely say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we saw in the Super Bowl was the best Buccaneers team that I've ever seen. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. That game, that football team I saw in Super Bowl 55 is the best team that's ever played football. Now, I know people are like, what? Come on. That's taking it too far. No, I'm dead serious. Those guys dominated in every aspect of the game. Every aspect of it. And this was going against Kansas City Chiefs, who everybody had as the favorite, who everybody said was the next coming of, the next Tom Brady. Right. They were the team that they were unstoppable. That they had and we even said this. They had a great coaching staff. Their offense is unstoppable. They got a good defense. They were what everybody thought of as the penultimate football team. I've watched a lot of football in my life, since the first time I remember really watching football was back in the 70s with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. I remember the Super Bowl, and it was like the greatest thing I ever saw. I was a fan of football right then. I had watched football before, but that was a really special event in my life. And I've watched football consistently ever since. I can honestly say that football team that was on the field in Super Bowl 55 is the best football team I've ever seen. They were incredible. Incredible. And
so are you saying they are better than the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Oh yeah, it hurts my soul to say that because that team holds a special place in my heart. Always will. But yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I mean, our 2002 team was great, but not like this. Not like this. I mean, this was elite level across the board. From top to bottom, and it was just it was like high schoolers playing against professional men, is what it looked like. This wasn't Kansas City screwing up. We made New Orleans Saints look the same way. And I said it. I said New Orleans Saints didn't bring their A game.
Mm-mm.
We made the Green Bay Packers look this way, and I said it then too. I said they didn't bring their A game. And when I started saying that in this Kansas City game, I went, oh, wait a minute. No, that's just statistically, that's impossible.
There's no way.
For three MVP quarterback-led teams.
Yeah, Super Bowl winning teams, quarterbacks.
And they've all three won MVPs in the Super Bowl. And they were all teams that everybody expected to beat us. And they were all teams that dominated during the regular season against every other team. I mean, the Saints beat us twice. One was a pretty bad smackdown.
Yeah.
Kansas City rolled over everybody except for the Raiders, who barely beat them. And then the team they lost to in the Week 17 was because they put their second stringers in. At Green Bay, what were they, 13-3 for the second time in a row? No, these are three of the best teams that have ever played football, and we steamrolled them. We made them look silly. And it's because this team is the best team that's ever been on a football field. I could say that. Watching this all 22. And once I got it out of my head that, no, it's not that the other team is playing bad. It's just we're making them look bad. I don't watch enough of other teams to realize that, hey, this is normally what they do. I mean, when I was watching the Kansas City Chiefs, I watched all three of them. There's a couple things I came away with. One, Mahomes is terribly inaccurate. He's just not an inaccurate thrower. Two, he loves to run. I mean, he's going to scramble out of that pocket no matter what. You leave him in there for more than 2 seconds, he's going to scramble. He reminds me of Jameis Winston. He's just, he's going to feel phantom pressure, or he just likes to run. So, and three, he's got absolutely atrocious mechanics. I mean, the guy's, I don't think he's ever thrown the football the same way twice. It's part of his game. He likes that pizzazz,
Mm-hmm.
He likes to be able to run and juke and, that. But that stuff's not consistent. We talked about this in the last thing. But then you got Tom Brady. Now, this is who I've been watching for a year. The guy's like a robot. He throws the football the same way every time. Perfect mechanics, feet in the ground, hips placed right, shoulders pointing right, the same motion every time. And he's extremely precise, and he's boring. He's boring. He was boring when he was in New England, and he's boring here. But that's his job. He's perfected the art of being a quarterback. He's completely precise. His movements are the same every single time. He masters that pocket. He doesn't run around. He doesn't scramble. If he feels pressure, he throws it. It's his job. And his job isn't to run the football. His job is to throw the football. So watching these guys, with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm seeing all these bad passes by Mahomes, and he threw some bad passes. And I was like, that's what he does. He throws bad passes because he's always off balance. He's throwing off his back foot, or most of the time he's in the air when he loves to jump in the air, twist, and throw it.
Well, he's a short guy, so it's like he's got to jump to get on over the line sometimes.
Drew Brees don't have to jump.
Yeah,
but that's a lot how Mahomes gets a lot of torque on his ball. If you notice when he's running outside the pocket, he would jump in the air as he throws, and while he's in the air, he'll twist and throw. So anyhow, I'm looking at this, and once I got it out of my head, like, no, these guys did not bring their A game. This is how they play. And it dawned on me. I was like, wow, we're playing so good that we make other teams look bad.
We make the best teams look bad.
Right, yeah, we make the best teams look bad.
Cream of the crop.
Yes. And that started happening, after the bye week was when it really started clicking with us. And, we just started getting better and better and better every week. And by the time we got to the Super Bowl, we are the best team that's ever played football. And it's really kind of shocking to me that I think I'm the first person that said this, but that nobody else has said this. I mean, is it just because the narrative is so strong that they went, oh, well, they just won this because of Tom Brady. Kansas City got dominated because the offensive line was injured and our defensive line, did all that. Or the refs. Is it those narratives that is taking away from the fact that we fielded the best football team that's ever played football?
I think there's so many Tom Brady haters that just do not want to admit that he is the GOAT, and it's because of him. Like, there's no other external. It's not Belichick. It's not the refs. And there are just so many people that I think just are blinded by their hate that they just can't accept that he's the best that's ever been and probably will be. Yeah.
Yes. That's probably a large part of it.
I mean,
because you have to admit two things right now. One, Tom Brady is the best football player that's ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he may not be exciting, but I mean, come on, 7 rings and one.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And now they're down to like discounting every single one of his Super Bowl victories. And you're like, okay, I can get like one, maybe you can make that argument, but 7, are you crazy? Like, there's no one that's even close.
No.
Does anyone have more than 2?
No, he's got more than any franchise. I mean, Belichick has got 8 Super Bowl rings. He won one with New York. So, I think he's the only player alive that has more than Tom Brady. So you know what Tom Brady's doing this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady's getting himself another Super Bowl ring. And that brings me to my second point with Tom Brady. The question is definitively answered. It was Tom Brady, not Bill Belichick. Now, we were split between, with that question, was it Belichick or was it Brady? I was like 60-40.
Yeah, I would have thought it was more Belichick. Yeah.
Now, I think we see now. No, it was like 80-20 maybe. I mean,
and you have to I wonder too, like Belichick is not great with people. And right. Tom's great in the locker room.
Yes.
So that they might have been the perfect combination. Like Belichick as far as coaching, and then Tom Brady was able to inject that into the locker room. He was kind of a bridge between the players and the coach. I don't know.
I don't even know if Belichick's coaching had anything to do with it. Honestly, I would love to now see Tom Brady with like a high school coach just to see. Be like, okay, I think he probably excel.
Well, if he's playing high schoolers, yes. Yes, he would.
Just pull a fan out of the stands and let him be the coach for Tom Brady's football team, and we see how it goes. I think he'd do great. Belichick, just it's really surprised me at how Tom Brady went to a completely different team, different town, different state, with a completely different system and dominated. It makes me think that Belichick actually held him back a little bit.
Maybe that could be. And BA has alluded to that in the in some interviews. He's like, we let Tom be Tom. We let him coach if he wants to. We let him do this and that. So
yes, and we've watched a couple of interviews with guys like Sean McCoy. We just watched that one a little bit ago. Who they just praised Tom Brady's leadership, but it's his preparedness. They all say that, his preparedness. The guy is constantly working on his craft, and he's what would Shady say? He said even the coaches have to bring their A game because Tom Brady is so precise and expects so much out of everybody.
It amazes me how many of the players, and this is kind of a theme throughout all their interviews too, are just kind of like in awe of him. Yeah. They're all kind of like, I don't know if starstruck is the right word, but just, he is just so, I don't know, inspiring, or he's just on such a different level that you just have to appreciate the greatness that you're witnessing.
Yes. Yeah, and plus there's also the when you come into a room with 6 Super Bowl rings, you could be the biggest dorky jerk on the planet, and people are going to be like, "Oh, what a great leader!" But no, it does seem to be extremely genuine that his teammates just really like him and respect the hell out of him. So I got to give it all up to Tom Brady. I said 80-20 Belichick, but it's probably more like 95. Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely see next year. When let's see what the Patriots do. That it should be really shocking. You'll be, just wow. I think it'll blow the NFL world away when they realize no, Belichick didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. It was all Tom Brady. It is amazing. I'm just shocked at what he did. Now, me and you, we conductors of the hype train, the Buccaneers hype train. Man, we how long we've been doing this? 5 years, where we're just, constantly. Is it 5 years, 3 years?
3? I don't know. I've lost count.
We always talk about that. We look at the world through Buccaneer colored glasses. Last year, I was saying we were a Super Bowl team. At the conclusion of last year, my thoughts were we are a playoff level team. I think I said playoff level, but the only thing holding us back was Jameis Winston. Now, I love Jameis Winston. I was rooting for Jameis Winston. I wanted him to succeed so bad. But he cost us, and I think I did a couple videos on it, some podcast. I think it was 4 or 5 games last year that he specifically cost us. Yeah. And that was the difference in us going to the playoffs. And then Tom Brady comes in. He starts off looking like Jameis Winston, through 2 interceptions and pick sixes and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, no. And at the beginning of the year, he was on pace to keep up with Jameis Winston. in the interception category. And I'm thinking, oh no, it's, it wasn't Jameis Winston. It's the system. It's just, you can't help but throw interceptions in there. And then it just started going away. And towards the end of the season, he wasn't throwing any turnovers. Mm-mm. He threw 2 against, was it New Orleans or Green Bay?
He had 3 against Green Bay.
Okay, 3 against Green Bay, but they basically, he was just
like
throwing
punts.
it up in the air. Yeah, he was just punting.
And they only got 6 points off of 3 turnovers.
Yeah, the game was over by then. When they first got their first interception, the game was already over, really. And, it's just incredible what he's done. So he came here and he's turned this team into not just a championship team, but what I feel is the best football team that has ever been on a football field. Now, I know it's got to sound weird, but I could definitely say beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the best football team that I've seen the Buccaneers ever field. I love the 2002 football team. I love that whole Tony Dungy era. Those guys were great. That defense was fantastic. But this is an all-around complete team.
The 2002 team, it was the defense, right?
Yeah.
And the offense was average, right?
Yeah.
Was it slightly above average?
Yeah,
average?
I'd say it was average.
Okay.
We had Joe Jurevicius and Keyshawn Johnson, and decent running game. But, we were not lighting up it was a defense. Mm-hmm. But, this team is just off the charts in every aspect of the game. Anyhow, let me go through the all 22. Okay, we started off, and this is me being egotistical. We had said, I had said what I wanted to see was a lot of press man coverage with 2 overtime safeties. That's like my favorite defense that these guys run. I love to see it. It's selfish because it's a lot easier for me to understand who messes up on defense in man coverage than it is in zone. But we started off playing that. Exactly. The whole first series, that's all we did. And I was like, whoa. And this is my ego talking. I don't know who it is, one of the defensive coaches listening, but I do appreciate that, man. That was a little nod to us.
You can call us next time before the game.
Call me up, man. I got some plays I can run by you. But we did a lot of interesting coverage I haven't seen, not just us do, but ever before. So we threw some interesting stuff at Patrick Mahomes. We had a couple plays, or quite a few plays, where we had 3 safeties out there. Now, we've run 3 safeties before, but never like this. We had 3 safeties lined up in the backfield, or in the back, in safety positions. Three deep safeties. It's very strange. I've never seen that before. I think I've seen it in college a couple times, but I don't really watch college football. But it was just a very strange setup. But we would do stuff out of that. So we'd rotate it from a 3 deep to a cover 1 shell. And it was just we did some crazy stuff in this game, defensive wise. But let me get through my notes, and then I'll talk about my summations and all this stuff. Okay, JPP was double-teamed quite a bit. They definitely targeted him. They had him chipped with a wide receiver, a tight end, or the running back.
You can't block him with a running back?
Yeah.
Or tight end?
No, they didn't leave him like a tight end on him. They were just like, it'd be the left tackle and the tight end, or he was constantly getting chipped. So it was obvious they were targeting him. They did that to a couple guys some other times, but with JPP, it was happening no matter what side of the field he was on. So I was like, yeah, they're targeting this guy. And they probably did it, I don't know, I'd say 15 times, 10, 15 times. I put a note here to keep track of it, but I didn't. And but every now and then I'd be like, oh, there's JPP, so I'd write it down, but I wasn't consistent with it. But I had at least 10 times.
That's the funny part about the double teams. It's like, okay, so you double team JPP, but that means you're leaving Shaq like one-on-one,
right,
or you're leaving Vita one-on-one, or you're leaving Sue one-on-one. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, and they played almost exclusively 5-man protection. insane. I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. But I mean, it was just, I was just like, what the, these people, and when I said they double teamed JPP, they weren't sticking 2 men on him, but they were having somebody come over and help and then release and go out in route. But still, regardless, JPP was the best player on our defense. He made the most plays. I was like, well, how does he do this, man? It's insane.
He feeds off of humiliating these people.
Yeah.
He gets stronger the more you pay attention to
He's
him.
like the Hulk. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. We were definitely playing with much more energy. I touched on that. We played some weird stuff on defense. One time we cover one shell, we had 5 underneath, and we did that quite a bit too. That was a very strange formation, but it was quite effective, obviously. Now, I had written down here in the first quarter that Steiny, 64 Steiny has played great, right? Okay. Then in the second quarter, I had written down 95 has been beating the mess out of Steiny.
Oh, no.
Yes. And they had some players that played good on defense. 95, Chris Jones. 54, Damian Williams. And 55, Frank Clark. And 53 played pretty good too. I mean, they were the best on the defense. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Jensen was playing like a madman. He was playing super aggressive. I mean, he got Frank Clark to punch him in the face. Got that 15-yard penalty. And then right after that, Frank Clark went after Steiny and hit him in the back of the helmet with his forearm. I was like, come on, man.
They've done interviews with a couple of the offensive linemen. So it was Steiny and then I think Tristan Wirfs this week have been out. And all of them talk about how Jensen goes and he bumps all the defensive guys between the plays, and it just pisses him off so bad. Like, he has this ability just to get under everyone's skin.
He does. He was like immediately starting off. He was just aggressive. I think it was the second offensive play. He was out there headbutting guys. He was. Oh man, he was super aggressive. Most times I've seen him aggressive all year, and that's saying something because he plays quite aggressive, which is great. He was our best offensive lineman too. There was so many times where he blocked 2 guys. Just great. He'd block one guy, throw him down, turn around, block another guy. He'd be blocking a guy and see the blitzer come in, and he'd shove the guy who was blocking over to the side and slam the blitzer. He was just, you could tell he was on fire. Their quarterbacks sucked. They were no match for any of our guys. Bashard Breeland, I love that guy. I really wanted him with the Buccaneers. He got toasted so bad out there by all of our receivers. Yeah, even our tight ends were burning him. But all the cornerbacks were just, they were no match at all. We had so many open guys.
Yeah, because who you going to block? Like,
Right, yeah.
You cover Mike, you're going to leave Antonio Brown open or Scotty Miller or Gronk.
Which, again, goes to my whole thing. This is the best NFL team that's ever been fielded. I mean, look at our wide receiving core. We could
get rid of half of them and we'd still have the best in the league.
Yes. It's insane. Look at our tight end room. Come on.
Good Lord.
Our offensive line. To imagine that only one player from our team went to the Pro Bowl, was voted in the Pro Bowl. It just goes to show
ridiculous
that these idiots don't know anything about football, and it's a popularity contest. Yeesh. It aggravates me. The 54 Damian Wilson. Remember when we had the fourth, we were at the goal, and we went for it on 4th down, got stuffed? That was 100% 54 Damian Wilson. He played really good. A great tackle.
Is it Damian Williams or Wilson?
Wilson.
Wilson.
I've got Wilson written down here. Crap.
I don't know.
But
anyway.
he single-handedly stuffed us twice. We did great. We blocked great. Everybody did.
I know we had Vita in on that play blocking, right?
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the fullback lead blocker on that 4th down play. I think it was 4th down play. Can't remember. But he was in there twice. And Damian Williams, I'll find out here in just 1 second. He didn't beat anybody. He just saw what was coming. He read it very well, got in between people because, like I said, our guys blocked everybody they were supposed to. Damian Wilson, 54.
Okay.
And he was able to weave in and out and get into a position, make excellent stops. Excellent stops. I mean, that 4th and 1 at the goal line, it was a beautiful stop. And it was all him, 100% him. There wasn't anybody helped him. It was him against the running back, and boom. It was just like, wow. That was quite impressive. Other than that, they didn't do anything in this game. But, those guys were playing good. And then, like, the second half, they just disappeared. This team,
demoralized.
This team got demoralized bad. Let me see. Here it is. It's about halfway through the second quarter, I got Mahomes to throw a lot of bad passes, off target, typical. 95 Chris Jones is playing really good, beating the crap out of 64 Steiny. Here it is. That's Steiny. Mm-hmm. Why do I have such a hard time with that?
I don't know.
Same thing with Jamal.
It's those vowels are tricky.
Yeah, give me a vowel. Then the second quarter, about third way through, I've got our cornerbacks have stuck to them like glue. This is a huge factor in this game that is overlooked. Our defensive line played great. We tore their offensive line up. We chased Patrick Mahomes around, but that would have been of no value if our cornerbacks would have left receivers open back there for Mahomes to throw to, because that's normally what he does. He likes to run outside the pocket, and we talked about this in the preview podcast. He likes to run out kind of like Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers. They thrive in chaos, so he likes to run outside the pocket, and his receivers will start hustling around back there and get open. Patrick Mahomes, like most quarterbacks, they prefer to throw to open receivers, guys that aren't covered. But Patrick Mahomes is more than most. I mean, he's very hesitant to throw into covered guys. He's not good at it at all. So, when he scrambles, he looks for these guys that are open. If he can't find anybody open, he'll throw it into a covered dude, and it usually doesn't turn out too good for him. But we didn't have that. He didn't have that during this game. There was no open dudes, man. I mean, there was a couple times he left a few plays out on the field, Patrick Mahomes did. But, I mean, our secondary played outstanding. And I said this to you after watching all 22. I said, I have to give more props to our secondary than I do our defensive line. And that shocked the shit out of me. I was like, man, our defensive line played great. But they've been playing great all year. Mm-hmm. Our secondary went up against, this prolific offense and shut them down. I mean, think about all the batted passes you saw.
Yeah.
Think of all the times Patrick Mahomes had to throw the ball away. Mm-hmm. Every time he was getting pressured back there, it was because he didn't have anybody to throw it to. I mean, those guys stuck to him like glue.
And this is so incredible for a few different reasons. Like, look how young these guys are. Mm-hmm. In our secondary. I mean, the oldest guy is Carlton Davis has been with the team 3 or 4 years. 23, isn't he? 24. Yeah. And Jordan Whitehead, I think, was drafted the same year. Yeah. So we've got these young guys, no veteran presence back there.
Yeah.
Playing
like Winfield.
Like that.
Yeah. This is his rookie year.
Winfield.
He's like a vet back there.
Outrageous. Can we just give Jason Light some props? I want to go back and get the receipts of that draft. Remember, was it 2 years ago when he drafted like all secondary? It was like secondary. And Bucs Twitter was losing its fucking mind because of this draft. And here we are. They're phenomenal.
Yes, they were the reason why we won the Super Bowl. They locked down these excellent receivers. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins,
Mecole Hartman.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were basically non-factors during this game because of our secondary. The Levante David played excellent. He covered Kelce a lot, and he had like 3 batted passes. Great pass defenses.
And that's kind of a mismatch to me from my perspective because Kelce is so big.
Mm-hmm. And tough.
Yeah.
Tough guy. And we talked about this. When we played them in week 12, Lavonte David had the worst game I've ever seen him play. And that was the start of that string of games he had where I was like, there's something mentally wrong with Lavonte David. I was worried about him there for a while. And then he came back towards the end of the year. But in week 12 was when I saw it. I was like, what? This is not Lavonte David out there. There's something wrong. And Travis Kelce basically blew him out of the water, but it wasn't really anything Kelce did. It was just Lavonte just wasn't, something was going on there. Maybe one day we'll hear what happened, but no, he didn't do that in this game. I mean, he beat the mess out of Kelce. And when Kelce caught the ball, man, Lavonte was there. People talk about Kelce, had these dropped passes and all that. Yeah, these receivers were worried about getting slaughtered. Our guys, we had some missed tackles, and we had talked about this as well. Missed tackles, they really thrive off of yards after the catch. So we've got to tackle well. We had a few missed tackles, but here's the thing. When one guy missed, there was like 3 guys there to swarm with the guy.
They were swarming.
Yes.
I noticed that during the game.
Again, it was the energy. We just had so much energy. These guys were swarming to the ball, and it was like it didn't matter if you missed the tackle because there'd be 2, 3, 4, 5 guys there to make sure to clean up the mess. And so, these guys when they were catching the ball or running it, they were getting hit. So they were.
Yeah, we were out physicaling.
Yeah.
Them. Is that a verb?
We were much more physical.
Is that a word?
Physicaling.
Physically?
Is that like cycling?
Yeah.
When you're cycling, are you being physical?
Mm-hmm.
The defensive pass interference on Breland that we talked about in the last podcast where we were like, it looked like Evans kind of sold that one. Where Breland's
their
falling.
feet got tangled. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I follow you. Yeah.
That was definitely pass interference. I looked at it from 5 different angles, every angle I could get it. And as Breland was falling, he reached out and he pushed Mike Evans on the hip. And then as he was going down further, he hit his right calf, which caused his foot to slam to the ground. And then, and I'm not 100% sure about this, his elbow, when it came down, it caught Mike Evans' foot, which caused him to trip. So it was definitely defensive pass interference. It didn't look like it at first. I thought Mike was selling it. He was like,
Yeah, he's good at that.
Yes, he is. But it was about at that point where their cornerbacks just got completely frustrated. They were so out of sync. They were not communicating with each other. They were yelling at each other after like every play. They were walking around with their heads down. They were just frustrated, just totally out of the game. But their whole team was like that. I mean, we got their whole team completely out of this game.
Yes. You could see it on the sideline. Pat Mahomes just looked like the deer in the headlights, like Sean McVay during the Rams Super Bowl.
Yes.
When he just got completely outmatched there.
Yes. And towards the end of the game, Travis Kelce quit. I've got video of him half-ass running plays. There was one play where he was supposed to chip block somebody. He didn't. I mean, he just kind of moved his shoulder a little bit. There was one play where he was supposed to run a pick play, and he was in perfect position to get in the guy's way, and he actually moved out of the guy's way.
What?
Yes. When the play would continue to go on, like Patrick Mahomes would start scrambling, Kelce would stop. And this is what happened with Lavonte David in week 12. Lavonte David was getting where he was just stopping. He was just standing there in the field. And Lavonte David never does that. He never just stands around. And Kelce was doing this during this game. It was towards the last half of the game. He just gave up. He would run his route, and he would just kind of stand there. And Mahomes would be scrambling around, and Kelce would stand there. He wasn't trying to get open. It was amazing. I was like, whoa, we have totally just destroyed these guys physically, mentally, every way.
If I were a Chiefs fan, I would be livid at that.
I would be too. I was thinking about taking some clips and just showing all the times that these Chiefs just gave up, got frustrated and aggravated. And there's so many little videos I could make out of this. It's going to be a good offseason.
You know, and that is what is so annoying about all these, oh, it's the refs, you know, or, oh, it's the offensive line. It's like, you know, your team quit. Your team sucked. That's what happened. Like, y'all lost. It wasn't, you know.
Y'all got beat.
Y'all got beat. Just take it. Take the L.
Yeah, recognize
Take it like a man.
Come
on.
You came up against an undefeatable team. There's nobody in the league that's even close to us. And we've got a whole offseason to get better. Oh, my God.
Whoa.
This is going to be so. Next year, it's going to be ridiculous. Okay, so then we're moving on to the third quarter. I've got a crap ton of notes from the game, but I'm just trying to zip through this. We're already at 55 minutes. So, coming out in the third quarter, their offensive line tried to get a little chippy with our defense. You can tell they came out. They probably got yelled at. You're not being aggressive enough. So they were like, you know, they come out. They were, you know, all right, we're going to come out and, you know, take over this game and be more physical and all. Yeah, that lasted one series. They hit Barrett, you know, knocked him on his butt, you know, after the play. They were doing all this stuff after the play. They were, you know, grabbing guys and throwing them down. They were just being chippy, you know. And like I said, that lasted one series. And then after that, it was like, they were like, please stop. Please don't hurt us anymore.
We were just kidding.
Yeah.
We didn't mean it.
Beat the mess out of them guys. And coming out, their defense just looked so discouraged, frustrated after every play. You could see, you know, they just throw their hands up and, you know, kind of yell at each other. And it was kind of sad to watch, but it was very enjoyable.
Not for us, yeah.
Fournette was just running over people. He ran like, you know, you owed him money. Him and 27. Rojo. They ran really, really hard. They were running hard. I said running hard as F. It was taking at least 3 players to bring them down. I mean, they were just
crazy.
Yeah, they were just not. And they were, when there wasn't a hole, they would bounce out, you know, to the outside, and you could see all the Chiefs players going, "Oh crap," because they were like, "Man, we got to get 3 or 4 of us over there to tackle him." Shit. And so that was great to see. But again, it goes to, I mean, our running room. Look at our running backs: Fournette, Shady McCoy, and Rojo. You name me 3 better running backs in the league. You can't.
Can't do it.
I mean, what? How? This is, I don't even. It's just, we have no weakness on this team, and every position is elite.
I wonder if the running backs too are taken after the offensive line. You know, the offensive line is so nasty. You know, and they're blocking. I mean, their run blocking is just phenomenal. And so you wonder if that kind of rubs off on the running backs too. That's a theory.
Yeah. I think all these guys are just really enjoying punching people in the mouth.
Yeah, I think so.
We did in the third quarter from 6:20 to 3:33. We had a horrible offensive series. It's the only really mistakes we made during the game. Let me see. Fournette ran great, but Tanner Hudson. That's right. We had Tanner Hudson in for that series. Man, you know, I really like that guy. And, you know, we are Buccaneer guys through and through. He's a Buccaneer player, so I'm never going to say bench anybody or fire anybody, but he has got to step up. I think he played. There was at least 2 plays that I know he was in both plays he screwed up.
Yeah, he's on the Tiffy video.
Yeah. Let me see. Tanner Hudson, he missed a block there. He dropped a pass in the end zone. Well,
that's the thing too. When your room is so stacked, when the tight end room is so stacked, you cannot afford to play like that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like, you're expendable. You are very expendable when you play like that.
Let's see, on that series, 18 Johnson missed a block for a tackle. The guy beat him for a tackle. Marpet was beat by 98. Wharton for a quarterback hit. That was the one. Remember, where Godwin jumped up and he caught the ball, but he landed out of bounds on his butt. That was that play. Brady got hit when he threw it, and it was because Marpet got beat by 98. And then there was the high snap. So all that happened on one series.
Yeah.
That was the only bad series we had during this game. And it was nothing that they did except 98 beating Marpet. So, it was just us screwing up, which is every game we lost this year, I feel, maybe other than the second New Orleans game, was just us beating ourselves. We just didn't get beat this year. But then again, we haven't really been beat the past couple of years. It's always been us screwing up. Winston in particular. Let me see. Then I got written here again. JPP double teamed a lot. 54. David has dominated in coverage on Kelsey. With 5 seconds left, 24. Davis clobbers Hill. Okay. We talked about this as one of the things we wanted to see during the Super Bowl was when Mahomes runs out of the pocket is to be aggressive with the receivers, hit them, knock them down, push them out of bounds. That's the best thing to do, is push them out of bounds.
Because they're blockers at that point when he's a runner, right. So you can hit them.
But you can't hold them. And if Mahomes throws the ball while you're doing this, you're going to get penalized because once that ball's in the air, you can't hit them anymore. So, but we did that, and it was a lot was Carlton Davis. And he took out a little bit of frustration on Hill. Yeah, he was
some vengeance.
Hill. Yeah.
I feel like the whole the Gravediggers, they were getting vengeance. They were avenging Carlton Davis's honor that whole game with with the peace sign.
Also, and I was talking to Molly about this. I watch these all 22s. And every time I play a team, I have to figure out the quarterback snaps, because what I do is I mark it as soon as the ball is snapped because I watch all 11 players. And what I'll do is I'll watch one player and then I'll go back to the snap of the ball and I'll watch another player and then I'll go back to the snap of the ball and I'll watch it. So anyhow, I end up marking right when the ball is snapped. So in order to save time, I try to figure out tells or whatever to try and figure out when a quarterback is going to snap the ball. And I get pretty good at it. Tom Brady, I'm absolutely horrible at. I can't do it. I can't figure it out. The guy has no predictable cadence or rhythm or structure or anything. He catches me at least 10 times a game where I go to market. I'll be like, okay, and he's going to snap it now. Oh, dang it. And then I have to rewind, find out where he's going to snap and then mark it. So it actually takes me more time. So
and this drives Ralph crazy because his whole life mantra is speed and efficiency. So if something is not efficient or speedy, he gets very frustrated.
I get very frustrated. It does. I mean, even loading the dishwasher is
everything. It's kind of an OCD, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a curse. Because it's almost more hurtful than it is helpful at this point in my life. Yeah. So with Patrick Mahomes, like I said, I watched 3 years of him, and I got it now to where I can predict his snap every single time without fail. And I know if I can do it, I know these guys can do it.
Mm-hmm. They know to look for that stuff, especially these veteran guys like Shaq and JPP and Sue.
Yeah, they were on it. Like as soon as that ball was snapped, you could see them moving. I mean, they were, not going across the line, but they were damn near close. And Mahomes changed his style. He had that pendulum arms thing in his first year, and then apparently somebody told him, said, "Hey, look, it's really easy to tell when you're going to snap the ball because you do the pendulum arms." And then he stopped doing that the second year, but still he's got these tells, and it's 100% every single time. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I know our guys were clued in on it too. Okay, going into the fourth quarter, 14:05, 24 Davis. He shoved 87 Kelsey down when Mahomes scrambled. Yeah, knocked him right down, right in the end zone. That's in the Tiffy videos. I did a little montage of our secondary guys beating up their receivers when Mahomes goes out of bounds. Let me see. Yeah, the one time SMB pushed their running back, 31, Damian Williams, pushed him out of bounds. That's the best thing you can do because that makes them ineligible to catch the pass. They can't be the first one to touch the ball. And so SMB did that, pushed him out of bounds, and then just kind of walked away. And Williams was open. He was open right in front of the end zone. And SMB wasn't even covering him. He was like 5 yards away. Almost like, throw it to him, please. Throw it to him. It'll be a penalty, And he was able to double team Tyreek Hill coming across the center. And it ended up being an incomplete pass, mainly because we had 2 guys on him. So, I mean, it was really beautiful. It was masterfully
Do you
done.
think this is something they were coached to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you could see him watching, for when Mahomes went out of bounds or went out of the pocket. Let me see. From 13:32 to 10:56, starting from our 12. This is in the fourth quarter. We ran 5 straight runs. Rojo ran it 4 times. First time was for 4 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, 4 yards. Then Fournette for 4 yards. So we had 27 yards, knocked off 2 minutes and 36 seconds off the clock, and in 5 plays. Starting at our 12, we moved it out to the 40 in 2 minutes and 37 seconds. And we could have done that all day. Mm-hmm. We could have marched down the field doing that. It was stacked. They knew we were going to run, and they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop anything we did, and we stopped everything they do. So the summary of the game, can I get to this real quick? We're over an hour already. We had much more energy from the get-go. Like I said, watching them the pre-game, our guys were jumping up and down. I mean, like not just like bouncing, but I mean like, doing these Olympic hurdle jump things. Their cornerbacks and secondary got frustrated quick, torched often. I mean, there was one time where Jamel Dean got beat by Kelsey in a route. And I was sitting there and I went, oh man, Jamel Dean got beat. It was kind of like a little whip route at the end of Kelsey's turn. And it almost looked like Kelsey shoved him. I can't really tell. But anyhow, he ended up getting like 4 yards separation on Jamel Dean. But Jamel Dean's very lanky, and he's very he doesn't look like he's fast or that has closing. But he's very awkward looking. And so he's kind of just like jogging behind Kelsey with this 4 yards in between them. And I'm like, I know if Patrick Mahomes threw that, Jamel Dean could close that gap real quick. The problem is I don't think Patrick Mahomes knows that. I think Jamel was trying to bait him into throwing it to Kelsey.
And we had talked about this.
Yes, yeah, we did quite a bit of that. Levante David did it. He was baiting them to throw it to Kelsey, and he would come up and just knock the ball down. It was great. It was beautiful. So I'm sitting there. At first, I'm like, oh, Jamel Dean just got burned. And then I went, did he? Because he could close that gap.
Maybe?
Yeah, he didn't try to catch up to him. He just kind of jogged behind him. And I was like, he's wanting him to throw it to Kelsey. So anyhow, I'm watching quarterback school, and he brought up that play. And he was like, here's one where Mahomes left an open receiver on the field. It happened very rarely, mind you. But, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's the quarterback school's name? What's his real name?
JT O'Sullivan.
JT O'Sullivan. Great guy. I love his breakdowns. You want to learn some stuff about football, watch him. And he's talking about how Travis Kelce was wide open there. Mahomes should have thrown it to him. And I'm like, now see, that's what you get when you don't watch one team's all 22 all the time, because I've seen Jamel Dean do that so much where he just closes the gap so quick. And I was like, I think he was baiting there. I don't think he was really beat. Because he never got off balance. He wasn't looking at Kelsey. He was looking at Mahomes. So he was like kind of jogging behind, almost like a bobcat chasing the prey. You know how they just kind of go through the weeds. But their cornerbacks got torched like every play. We were just torching them. There was no match. Their D-line didn't do much. Clark 55 and 95 Jones did the first half, but nothing in the second half, really. They were massively outcoached.
Do you think Andy Reid was distracted because of his son?
But there's no way. When did that happen? That happened like 4 days before?
Like Wednesday or Thursday, something like that.
I mean, they had already installed their offense. They had to have.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the weirdest thing. We had talked about this, in our Super Bowl preview that, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us. Week 12, they threw everything at us except a flea flicker. And this is normal to do. Go back and look at the Super Bowl against 49ers. They had plays that I'd never seen before. These weird where they'd have three guys in the backfield, they'd spin at the same time before the ball. I mean, just weird stuff all over the place. They didn't do any of that in this game. None. It was like they threw their whole playbook out the window. And they were just like, all right, here's what we're going to do. You just go and I'm going to throw it to you. That's how I felt their whole game plan was.
Like very vanilla? Was it vanilla?
Yeah. Extremely for them.
That
for
is
sure.
so weird.
Yeah, I mean, they tried some RPOs. We shut them down quicker than shit, though. I mean, it was like in week 12, we had a hell of a time with those RPOs. This week, but during the Super Bowl, it was embarrassing how we shut them down. I think we did a blueprint for the league. The league is looking at us, that Super Bowl, and going, oh, shit. One, we're going to have to play these guys next year.
Yeah.
And two, wow, we got a lot of learning to do. Because this was like a master class in coaching and performance. But that's what I'm saying. It's like every aspect of our team is elite. Our coaching staff just in this game just showed that. I mean, here's what the Kansas City did. This seems to be both teams' mentality going into this game was, we're going to try and trick them by not doing what we normally do. That's what both teams did. Our defense, we didn't do what we normally did. Our offense, we didn't do what we normally do. Their defense, they didn't do what they normally do. And their offense, they didn't do what they normally do. We've all changed what we're going to. But our changes worked. Their changes were stupid. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, we rushed 4 almost the whole game. I think I counted 5 blitzes, and they were only 5-man blitzes. I think once we ran a 6-man blitz.
Good Lord. How do you even do that?
Right.
I mean, 4 against 5, so the whole game.
Right. Well, that's exactly what we said to do in the preview. We were like, don't blitz, just run 4. Our 4 will be able to get to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And we said, don't worry about
enough.
containing him. We didn't put a spy on him. Although we worked our defensive line to spy him. It was really neat. We would have, no matter which side collapsed the pocket.
Because it happened every time.
Because it happened every time, yeah. And if it was both sides, then one of the middle guys would prowl the line of scrimmage. They would go down the line of scrimmage in front of Mahomes instead of going towards him. So you'd have 2 guys chasing Mahomes, and you'd have one guy at the line of scrimmage just staring him down, right in front of him. So he couldn't run forward. So, if it didn't work, it didn't work. We didn't care. We got guys fast enough to chase him down, and we were just. It was a masterful gameplay. But so we did that, and then we changed our secondary, our looks a bit. We ran some coverages we normally don't run. We even ran coverages nobody runs. So we did that. Now what they do on defense is they normally blitz the shit out of you, right? They blitz the hell out of us in week 12. They do it to everybody, especially when you've got a good quarterback. They're just going to blitz you. That's what they did. That's what Spagnuolo did to Brady in the Super Bowl. When he beat him, he just blitzed him. They didn't blitz. They didn't blitz hardly at all. And a large part of that was because our offense, what we did is we ran these jumbo packages. Now, we do that a lot where we'll put in 2 tight ends or, an extra lineman in a tight end or a couple tight end, whatever. These jumbo and super jumbo, I call them, where you have 3 extra blocking, you have 2 tight ends and an extra lineman. So we do that a lot, but nowhere near as much as we did in this game. I think I counted 21 times we ran super jumbo, which means you've got
super jumbo.
Right. You've got 8 blockers, a running back, a quarterback, and 1 wide receiver.
Wow.
Yeah, we did that like 20 some times, which is not our game at all.
Do you count like the time when we put Joe Hagan as a receiver?
Yes.
Like, what is that?
I know, which was a great play.
Went right off his helmet.
Oh,
his
well,
face.
he caught it, and he was turning around to celebrate it. 53 came up and got to him. That was a great play by 53. I'm not going to lie. 53 did great. He could have sold it a little bit better maybe, but he was wide open, got the ball in his hands, but 53 turned around and was like, oh, nope, popped it right out. So, we changed our offense. We don't do that. We're a vertical team. We like to go downfield. We didn't do that this game. We did a very protective, heavy, and that might be why they didn't blitz, because they really couldn't. We had 8-9 guys blocking. How are you going to blitz 9? You'd have to blitz 10 guys. That would leave one guy in coverage. So it was a good plan on our part. Our shit worked out. Here's what they did. On their offense, they said, okay, they're going to expect us to do all these tricky plays and throw the kitchen sink at them, so we're just not. And that was the extent of their shit. I don't know what they were thinking. It's like they tried to play our game. They tried all these long vertical routes, these things that developed, and they had 5-man protection almost the whole game. They didn't give their offensive line any help.
I know, which is so weird because 1, you're going up against a top 5 defensive line, and 2, you're missing 2 or 3 of your starters.
Yeah. It was
like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they were totally outcast.
And I get, like, you say you have faith in the guys that you have, and so you kind of want to put your money where your mouth is a little bit, but good God, like, put a tight end on the line or something.
Right. Well, you would think, their mentality seemed to be, we're just going to put it in the hands of Mahomes and let him make the spectacular plays. But he couldn't, because we had his receivers blanketed. He's not used to that. He's used to at least one of his guys every time getting wide open and being able to throw it to him. And if they're not wide open, he'll zip it in there, and 50% of the time they'll catch the ball. But that didn't happen this game because our guys were right there every single time. But they were just massively outcoached, man. The running backs ran hard. Defensively, we ran a lot of man with two safeties. Also ran 3 safeties a bit. Hardly any blitz. 4 and 3-man rushes. We did a lot of 3-man rushes too.
Well, that's because Vita takes up like 2 or 3 guys by himself.
They chipped JPP a lot. Our secondary played excellent, stuck like glue, physical, swarmed. Did not keep a spy on Mahomes. Look, this is all the stuff I just said.
Yep.
But would have defensive lineman proud the line of scrimmage when he scrambled. Their team looked tired, disinterested, frustrated, especially their secondary and wide receivers.
Do you think they were just taking it for granted that they were there again? Like, they had gotten there last year. They had been there.
Yeah. They've had 2 years of just beating the mess out of people. They haven't run into a wood chipper like this. We just totally demoralized these guys. They
I like that. We're a wood chipper.
Yeah, wood chippers. And then, there was Kelsey quit so many times when Mahomes scrambled. Kelsey just stood there. Jensen was great. Then one last thing I want to get to. Look, we're at 1 minute, 20 seconds or an hour 20. Shaq Barrett, he's up for his contract renewal. We franchised him last year. We'll probably end up franchising Godwin this year. I don't think you could franchise a player 2 years in a row.
Greg Auman said that you can. I didn't think you could. Greg Auman. We'll have to look into it. But
yeah. I don't know if we'd want to. I don't know how that would affect his morale. But anyhow, we might lose Shaquille Barrett this year. There's actually a really large possibility of that. I want him to stay. I really, really want him to stay. He's an outstanding player, a special guy that you're never going to find anybody else like him. Sue, the same way. I feel like Sue, we need to keep him. I think there's more of a chance we'll keep Sue than we'll be able to keep Barrett. Barrett's come out and said he wants to break the bank, and deservedly so. The guy, he needs to be making $15, $20 million a year. But there's a bright side to this. We got a guy on our team, Cam Gill, who when I've seen him play, I haven't seen him get a lot of snaps, but when the snaps I have seen him get, he's blown me away. He's faster than Barrett, and he's kind of got the same style as Barrett. He looks very, very smart, and a lot of moves. He's not throwing the same stuff at you all the time. And so, we've got that. If, Shaq does leave, we've got a potential replacement. He's not going to be as good as Shaq, especially for the first few years.
But he's young, too.
But he's young, and he's got a lot of energy, and he's extremely fast. This guy's got to be the fastest defensive end outside linebacker out there. I mean, he's just blazing fast. When he got a half a sack with Sue.
Mm-hmm.
He ran all the way around the line and got to Patrick Mahomes before Sue got to Patrick Mahomes. Or about the same time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he was like twice as fast as Sue. It was just crazy. But he's very fast, very good player. So, all is not lost in that aspect. Cam Gill seems like he's going to be a very good player. I don't know if we're going to have time to get to the news. We're already at an hour and 20.
Okay.
If we zip through it real quick. But again, I want to reiterate, what you saw in Super Bowl 55 was the best football team that's ever been out on a football field. People can argue with me if you want to. I'm happy to hear anybody else's opinion. Give me some other teams that are better than this. I mean, we faced a Kansas City team that was an offensive juggernaut. We shut them down. Our offense scored at will, basically. We could have scored a lot more, too, if we wanted to. Tanner Hudson would have caught that pass in the end zone. That would have been it. But we outcoached them. We outplayed them. We had more energy. We had better skill. And they're looked upon as an elite team. So what's that make us? Makes
the
us
elitist?
The elitist. And I don't think enough people are talking about that, about how great our team is.
I know. They keep just shitting on, they keep shitting on the victory. It's very frustrating to me. I'm like, no, we kicked their ass.
Yeah, we did.
And here's the thing is that it was so boring for everyone but Buccaneers fans because it was such a beatdown. I think people probably stopped watching it or comprehending what they were watching.
Yeah, only diehard football fans watch that, or Buccaneer fans.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing happened in 2002, where it was just like, it was boring for everybody except for Buccaneer fans because it was just such a beatdown. And that's saying something because, in the modern day period here, say probably since about 2000, Super Bowls have been great. The playoffs have been great. Before that, Super Bowls used to be horrible. The real games used to be the NFC and AFC championships, but the Super Bowls were always blowouts, always. And the past decade, 15 years, 20 years, Super Bowls have been really good games, except for the two Buccaneer games where we just beat the mess out of our opponents. So take that for what you want.
I'll take it. It beats it happening the other way around. I do want to say I do have one stat, and we can skip the news and go over that next time.
Before you go on, as I was referring to earlier, anybody out there, if you've got a team you think is the best team that's ever played in NFL, let us know. Leave a comment, send us an email, whatever. Because I really want to know. I want to do what I can to boost this up as much as possible. Or, I might be wrong. There might be some teams I'm not thinking of that were really good teams, but just all around elite like this, I can't think of a team. Can't think of one. Anyway.
So the Bucs are the first team with 4 30-point games in the postseason.
Bam.
No team has ever done that. We are the first team to beat 3 Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks in a postseason.
Bam.
And then Tom Brady was the first player in NFL history with 50 pass touchdowns in a season, including the playoffs, for a Super Bowl champion.
Bam.
So, there we go. I enjoyed the Tiffy videos very much, Ralph. You did a great job with those. My probably favorite play, which we didn't talk about, was there's a clip of Donovan hitting somebody with his shoulder, just laying the dude out.
I love it when he does that.
And it was so nonchalant too. Like he just did it real quick, and then he stood up and was like looking around, and the guy's on the ground, right? Didn't he knock him to the ground?
Yeah, I think he went down on one knee and then brought that back up.
Took him off his feet anyway. Yeah. So that was a great play. Love to see Donovan like that.
Are you going through news?
No, I'm not. We'll just skip it. We'll do it next time.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up because we've gone way over.
Okay. Just one note. We are nominated for a Pewdie with the Pewter Cast for Guest of the Year. So if you guys enjoyed us going on there and talking about the Antonio Brown signing and Mr. Brown throwing a bag of dicks at his baby's mama, please make sure you go vote for us.
That's hilarious. If you like bag of dick stories.
Yep, we got you covered.
Give us a vote. Oh my God. All right, guys. Sorry about the rambling going on. We're trying to make up for our slackness in doing these podcasts. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I honestly, and I'm not saying this to, throw more coal in the hype train here. This is the best football team I've ever seen. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Our secondary, especially, I was just amazed at what a great job they did. I mean, they were sticking to these guys like glue. They were just, and these aren't easy guys to stick to. Mm-mm. I mean, I think I counted once, maybe twice, where Hill got open. I mean, it's like, what? I mean, that's like 50 passing plays. It's like, good Lord. And it was really incredible. It was a really incredible performance. And, when you combine it all with everything we did in the playoffs, there's no question in my mind that this is the best team that's ever set foot on a football field. It's really kind of blowing my mind that it's not talked about more, that everybody's moved on. And even the national media, they're running with these silly narratives that I think are really taken away from what we witnessed. It's like, so anyhow, Buck fans, man, be proud. Be proud. Watch that game at least once a week, every week for the next 6 months. You deserve it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us. Till next time.
Go Bucs.